All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over the interview with Assassin's Creed Shadows and Screen Rant. I'm going to pull up the video here and let's react to it. Let's go. 5 views on this thing. Oh, here we go. It went up a little bit. 16 views. Okay.
Rebuild.
And follow the blade.
It's the first playable historical figure that's ever been in the Assassin's Creed series. Were there any difficulties or special care that you guys had to take when you were writing Yasuke as a playable character versus just including a historical figure in the storyline?
Anybody shocked that a white leftist woman is one of the ones who were behind the design of a black man leading Assassin's Creed Shadows? Does she look like she's happy to be there? Does anybody think that she looks like she's happy to be there talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows? I mean, I don't know.
Elsewhere?
Well, that's a great question. I think the writing team choice Yasuke's character, he ties together many important figures in our era. The Diamond Oda Nobunaga, the first of Japan's two great unifiers.
So Yasuke, a figure who historically was only in Japan for 15 months and was so ambiguous that most of his media representation is people just making shit up. You mean to tell me that's the character that ties all of feudal Japan together for you? Like that's the one? That's the one when you saw him, you were like, yep, that's it. That's feudal Japan right there. Yeah, okay.
Because people play an important role in the story that we're telling, Yasuke actually was just sort of full of opportunities for the.
Is she even saying the name right? I just realized that. This is a character who you say is super important and ties all of feudal Japan together, and you're not even saying the name right. I guess you weren't consulted on that before you went into this interview, huh? That's great.
Writing team because we had very few tasks to work with, but what we had was such a terrific fit, and then there was this great opportunity to go in and start feeding the facts into the story that we then told.
And this is also finally Assassin's Creed is in feudal Japan. I feel like that's been one of the most hotly requested fan.
You could barely hear her speaking. Why? That's weird. I'll put closed captions on, so maybe you guys can check that out.
And locales that the series has had. What finally made this the right time? How did the team land on this time and place in the first place?
It's really the amount of enthusiasm from the community, and then it's been this great.
The amount of enthusiasm from the community. I like this. That's a lot of enthusiasm for sure.
True, but the passion that team is like, everybody's so excited about the setting. I think we have a lot of progress in recent years that allowed us in 2020 to make the decision to take the deep dive into feudal Japan and get to know the setting. We also, with our game engine and the
yeah, you really are getting to know the setting. You really took that deep dive, all right. You took that deep dive. I'll tell you how this thing went. Okay, this is how the meeting went. All right, they sat down. They were all at their round table. They all were drinking Starbucks and whatnot at the time. They were tweeting from their alt accounts, attacking gamers on Twitter. And then as they're sitting there drinking Starbucks, they said, "Okay, guys, it's time to do a Assassin's Creed in Japan. How do we want to go about this?" And then some random like activists in the corner, they were like, "Well, listen, before we do this, is there any way that we can make the character black? And everybody sitting at the table was like, well, I mean, that just wouldn't make much sense. You know what I mean? Like, this is just, I don't think it would work in this scenario. And then that activist was like, well, what if I told you it could? And then all of their interest was piqued. They were like, well, how can you? And then that activist was like, hold on, I got you. Ready? There was a figure in Japan around that time period that nobody doesn't know much of, but all they know is that he was black. And he was next to one of the top 3 people in Japan, which was Oda Nobunaga. How does that sound to you? And then they were probably like, oh, that sounds pretty good. But I mean, it still wouldn't make sense. I mean, you know, they want people to be Japanese in this scenario. They were like, well, what if I told you that it was historically accurate? What if I told you that this black man was historically accurate in feudal Japan? And then they all got excited. They were like, wait, so we can actually do this? We can get away with throwing a black man in feudal Japan and nobody could argue with us because he was historical? They were so excited at the opportunity to finally get back at all those Asians that wouldn't allow them to be marginalized. Because God knows all those hardcore leftists were so desperate to marginalize Asian people with the Stop Asian Hate thing. And when that lasted only like 2 months, they got real upset. They were like, wait, I don't understand. We've been convincing black people they're marginalized for decades. Why aren't the Asians buying into this? I don't understand. How dare those motherfuckers not let us oppress them? And so what do? They make a black man in feudal Japan. They give him a spiked mace and they let him go to town. That was it. They let him go to town. And they let him do it to hip hop music too, on top of that.
Able to bring this setting to life, this incredible amount of dynamism and light in the world, and photorealism and attention to detail that really shows the setting to its full advantage.
Oh yeah, it definitely shows its setting to its full advantage, all right. You definitely took advantage of that.
Feel any sort of special kind of pressure because this setting has been so hotly requested for so long to like get it right, so to speak, for the fans?
It was really important to
No, it wasn't.
Really
No, it wasn't.
do our research.
You know why you're struggling? You know why you're struggling to talk about this subject? Is because you are making it up as you go along. You're struggling to conversate. You're struggling to get your word out there because you are lying about everything you're saying. Especially this part about, oh, it was very important for us to get it right. Well, you didn't get it right.
Homework. I mean, that's such a great fun as a developer part of us working in Assassin's Creed is this ability to come to our work with students and to get to take the deep dive with the guidance of historians and experts and consultants. And they played a critical role as well as our internal teams from Tokyo and Osaka who stepped in to help us to make sure that.
You know, all this shilling for the mainstream, and they can't even invest in a good fucking microphone. Like, why is it that you're capturing all the audio outside of the actual person talking is beyond me.
We were able to respectfully bring this.
Oh, respectfully. Oh, you're not even buying that. You don't even buy what you just said. You're respectfully bringing this setting to life. How are you being respectful to this setting, bro? You got the setting wrong. You got the architecture wrong. You put Chinese architecture in a Japanese game. You made the entire game based around Yasuke. You said he is justice. He is the samurai spirit. He's going to embody what it means to be a samurai. How did you get the setting right? How are you respectful to any of this? I don't even need to hear the rest of this conversation.